9 seed. So anything can happen in any of these brackets. We are underway as Furaime has hit start. We're going to get that from Wulfy momentarily, I think. There it is. And he does stop to pick up the 20 rupees. Furaime did not pick that up in the back of the sanctuary.
They're starting the way they normally would, heading over toward Kakariko Village to get a lot of items over there. We'll see what it actually has for us today.
We're getting a look at the tree pull already from Furaime. A few bombs in there. Now, the runners are aware of the tree pull, so he was going intentionally to get the bombs to help with his most likely search of Kakariko.
That tier 1 tree filling you up on bombs is very nice to see early on.
Now, I have a quick question in chat here, and I'll clarify for anyone coming in to see this for the first time in this type of race. This is our spoiler log tournament. This is a race where the runners get to see the spoiler log. So they know where everything is, and to some extent, so do we. They have to plan a route in terms of where to go and what to do to get through the seed as fast as they possibly can, knowing where everything is. A little bit different than normal randomizer, where you have to guess where everything is. Furaime's stopping to pick up some arrows there, and there's the half magic. Saw him opening the bomb wall, assuming he's going to go after that. So there he goes with that. And there's the lantern. Now, the time he spent trying to figure out how to go through the puzzle to get to the lower right chest, I almost think it would have been better he just did the room normally, because Wulfy's opening the room absolutely normal pace, and I don't think has lost any time with Furaime here.
And we do see both runners sort of going out of their way to route in some extra rupees early. If you've got to get to the bottle merchant or maybe to Zora, that's definitely something you're going to think about early on. We'll see where our runners take those rupees.
And other options like the digging game exists, and of course having to pay to get a Palace of Darkness. Furaime going right after that 300 without even hesitating. And there's his blue man.
And that's not necessarily something our runners would go for normally, but if it's right there in your path, you might as well take that safety. It's definitely an interesting aspect of this tournament, getting to see the low percent execution from all of these runners, usually going through on 6 hearts at most.
And as you noted, Furaime's still only sitting on 3 hearts, as is Wulfy. They haven't found any hearts conveniently located in their path yet to pick up. So we are getting a quick trip to Sahasrara. There must be something in the Old Man's Closet, or they're going to Eastern Palace. Furaime is heading right there. Looks like Sahasrara.
I was going to say, one interesting thing is we see where all the pendants and crystals are at the start of the game. So Eastern Palace is a crystal, or sorry, is a pendant, so we don't need to beat that to beat the game. But we'll see what items we find over here outside of Eastern.
And we're getting a sync on the back end here, so thanks to our helpers who do that. There's flippers in the back of Sahasrara's closet, and some more bombs.
Palace is required, so we'll definitely need those flippers at some point, and Furaime making a beeline for those, and Wulfy following in the same direction.
So far, they're following pretty much the exact same route here, so we'll have to see when there is some divergence here. Furaime heading down to the dam right now, it looks like. Maybe, no, actually might be skipping that, going to Mini Moldorm Cave or Ice Rod Cave, maybe.
Now, grabbing rupees and the flippers right away, that makes you think that Zora will have something interesting for us. We'll see if Furaime is just picking up a few more rupees here and then heading up to our favorite conman fish.
Favorite might not be the word I would use, but okay. Getting back to Mini Moldorm Cave right now, there's 10 arrows, piece of heart, bombs, 300 rupees, that's probably what he came for, and some more bombs. So the fact that we already have 600 rupees tells me that he is making a very quick, very early Zora play, most likely. We will find out as he hops in the water, and I think he is either heading to Ice Rod Cave or maybe showing us what's on the island, which he's not actually showing us.
Nope. Checking the island since you know what's there, but yeah, Furaime heading straight up toward Waterfall Ferry, which apparently has some good stuff for us.
Yep, there's our mirror and a sword.
Yeah, pretty stacked Waterfall Ferry, and definitely both of these runners thinking the same way, heading to Mini Moldorm Cave to top off the rupee count before going up to Zora's domain and grabbing everything good up here.
And Wulfy has some excess rupees, so he won't have to worry too much about routing in other things like digging game if it turns out to be required, or having to pay it again to Palace of Darkness, which we know is required because it is a crystal. So he has a little bit of extra money that Furaime currently does not, and he'll have to route in later. So, what does King Zora give to us today as he emerges from the depths? Gives a rude little cough and gives you an ocarina.
That's definitely an item that you want to get to as soon as possible. That does open up Death Mountain for us right now, but most importantly, it just makes travel around the overworld a whole lot easier for these runners.
And that is once they go to Kakariko and activate it, which I think Furaime is going to do right now. That means we'll get some music shortly. Wulfy collects his ocarina, and I have a feeling he's going to again be following right behind Furaime.
Yeah, so same routing out of our runners at the beginning. Seems like the seed is pointing them both in the same direction. So we'll see what they do after activating this flute.
And here's that activation. And Swag Duck Air is now open for business. Call 555-DUCK for all your transportation needs, unless you're not in Hyrule, in which case, number does not work, please do not.
And so Furaime is heading right up Death Mountain. I was going to say, looks like he's going to Old Man, which is in logic since we found that lamp in Blind's hut.
And very, very quickly beelining right towards the Old Man. So either he wants to unlock it as a warp, as a start point, which is definitely a valid reason for doing this, but does cost a little time when you have the flute already. Or he is, the Old Man might have something of interest, like, you know, wig or something. I don't know. We'll see what he gets. We'll get from. And the Old Man gift for today, the tip is a hammer.
Very nice find up here on Death Mountain, because with the mirror and hammer, we can get over to the east side of the mountain now. We can get into Tower of Hera, which is a required dungeon today, so our runners may very well just bang that out right now, especially if there are any good items inside to find.
Now, I know there's a couple items that these runners will definitely be looking for. For example, there could be some power gloves located somewhere. There could be some boots located somewhere. These are items that a lot of runners really want. The power glove and the Titansman especially will give ability to access pretty much any part of the world they want to go to in Death Mountain. The boots, of course, help them go really fast.
And we do definitely want to go fast. If you like going fast, this is definitely the tournament for you. Most of these races have finished in under an hour, with runners being able to see exactly where they need to go and make a beeline for those items. And there is the bow in the Tower of Hera basement. That's definitely a good pickup.
That's a great pickup. So that will open up Palace of Darkness when Furaime wishes to do that now at his leisure. Finds the big key in the front chest. No coffee break today.
Our runners fire source right now with that lamp in case they do need to head down and pick up the item in the basement, but Furaime is headed up the tower and looks like he is going to take out everyone's friend Trolldorm immediately.
Yeah, the Furaime is not a fan of worms, apparently. He does take the worm out right away from what we see here. So, going to be our first victim today. Wulfy is thinking the same thing today. Now, the runners could have chosen to come and get this last before going against Tower, and normally that would be ideal. Leads me to think that maybe the worm has something today.
Also, one of those things that runners might just want to only come in the tower once. So since they definitely had to come in early on to get the bow, maybe they just decided to route this boss fight in while they were here.
It's definitely possible. Ooh, hammer didn't work there for Furaime. Gets the second try. And going right after him this time, but this, I guess, the second hit anyway. There it is. Worm down. What does the worm have? Just a map.
There's all the other chests apparently, so nothing else item-wise in Tower of Hera, but most importantly, Furaime 1, Trolldorm 0, and he gets our first Crystal of the Seed.
It's always good to get that first one out of the way, get yourself on the board.
And the hammer hitbox not being kind to Wulfy there. That first one looked like it should have hit. That does basically follow up to take down Moldorm.
Furaime taking the longest drop down a mountain you can get in this game, and I'm surprised that doesn't break Link's feet or knees or something. But he gets to head into Paradox Cave. A couple items on the lower floor. What are we going to find back here? There is a heart container and a moon pearl.
Very nice. Very nice to find that full heart right there. Costs you 0 time to pick up to get that extra health.
So he's on his 4th heart now, which Wulfy already has 4. Furaime figuring out which chest he wants to open, ends up opening 2 20 rupee items, so there's some extra money. There's a heart for him. Sure he wanted that as well. There's the power glove, and he opens the last one for the piece of heart just because.
That sort of explains why our runners were following the same path. All of the ingredients for Dark World access were up here on Death Mountain, which means our runners were basically making a beeline for Zora's domain to be able to climb that mountain. So, both of them following the same path here, and we'll see where they go once they get into the Dark World.
Now, a little note about today's race as well. Since Wulfy is up 1-0, it should be noted this is a potential doubleheader. If Wulfy wins today's race, or this race, I should say, that'll be it. We'll interview and that'll be it. If Furaime wins this race today, there will be a second race to follow this right afterwards, and that will decide the series. So either way, this series will be decided today. And here we are in everyone's favorite hype cave. Furaime just targeting one item, the Titan's Mitt, so now you know why he was here. He doesn't care about anything else.
Not even talking to our NPC, just stealing his glove and leaving, but it's the way things go when you're the hero of Hyrule. Sometimes you just need to get some business done. Furaime immediately flew back to the Light World. I think I know where he's going. Yep, we are going to see a trip into the Mire area here as soon as we find those mitts.
He could be looking at Mire Shed or Checkerboard Cave since he has the mirror, so these are options as well. Could be backdooring Desert Palace because he doesn't have the book. So we're going to find out here. He goes straight into the Mire Shed, and I have a feeling there's something in here that we're going to have. Furaime serenading us with the
Furaime knows what's here.
Sorry?
It's almost like Furaime knows what's here in Mire Shed, and it is the Pegasus boots. Ooh, and a blue bottle. Nice find as well.
Yep, a blue goo in a bottle. So the speedrun can now begin. 13 minutes into the race, as he just demonstrated.
Yep, have to go fast. So, Misery Mire is a dungeon we're going to have to finish at some point. Obviously, we are not equipped for that right now. We're missing all sorts of things we would need to finish that. Most importantly, the Quake out of the door, but Furaime is, it looks like, going to go ahead into Desert Palace while he's here, since this is another crystal dungeon today.
And Wulfy getting his footwear, and he is rushing out of there. Now this could be the first case we see some divergence. Let's see what Wulfy decides to do. He is going to mirror, and he is also backdooring Desert Palace. Wulfy gets held up on one of the lever circles there.
And interesting, Furaime just dipping into Desert Palace long enough to get that big key. So we'll come back to finish Desert Palace when he's there for Misery Mire. And right now, fluting over to 5 to head into Palace of Darkness from the looks of things. We do have the bow and the hammer, so this is full clearable, and we can grab any items that we need out of here on the way.
And there is always 5 non-dungeon items in Palace of Darkness, so there is a very good odds that there is something in here he is going to go after. If it turns out there's nothing of interest, though, we could have one of the faster Palace of Darkness tours you'll ever see, because he's just going to get a couple keys and the big key and head right to the back.
Yeah, and this is also a 5-6 crystal today, so if the Pyramid Fairy has anything interesting for us, Furaime might want to prioritize finishing this dungeon as soon as possible. Meanwhile, Wulfy has decided to just go ahead and do the back of Desert right now and Molus while he is here.
It saves him having to make the return trip later. Nothing wrong with that. So this is our first case of divergence in the seed today, and we'll see what else comes up divergent-wise as we go on. So Furaime opening up the hole on the bowlock side of Misery Mire. You can use a potion to glitch this room, but we're not doing that. We have the bow and the arrows. Why not? Just get it clear.
So we can use developer intended strats if we have to.
We have opened the key. A couple bombs. Some arrows, and we've left. And now heading back in.
Yeah, it looks like just want to do the right side enough to find a small key. Probably means there's not one in this chest he's about to open right now.
Nope, big key.
Oh, or it's a big key.
Like we said, this could be one of the fastest Palace of Darkness tours you're ever going to see.
Yeah, it feels like you always waste so much time in pod just, you know, opening another key and spending a key to get another key. But if you know exactly how many you need to pick up, it certainly makes life a whole lot easier.
Speaking of picking up keys, he picked up a couple hearts and then went back to the front entrance once again. He's now going to head straight to the back, it looks like, unless there's an item along the way somewhere. He might stop for that. Passing that, whatever that is, probably a key. Is he gonna hammer you up here?
Yep, that's definitely
He
the
is. Got it. Master Sword.
I like the muscle memory that Furaime still bombed open the door behind the big chest, even though he knew he wasn't going to go through it.
I've seen multiple runners still do that. Like you said, muscle memory, you just think, okay, let's bomb that open. Oh, wait, I don't need to do that. We'll just destroy the wall. Why not? Now he grabs the key out of this chest.
Get back to Helmosaur after that, so Pod does not have anything that's going to tempt our runners besides that Master Sword. We did just need to pick up those 3 keys. Wulfy's probably going to head in basically the same direction, although in a slightly different order. He grabbed that big key first, and is now going to hit the right side, but pretty much probably going to follow the same route through this dungeon.
So now we have the magic known as moving a wall by shooting a statue. Don't ask me why this works, or why Nintendo thought this would be believable, but it works, apparently.
It's worked in every ancient temple dungeon I've ever been in, so makes sense to me.
And now making our way through the dark part of Palace of Darkness. This is why we call it Palace of Darkness, because down here it's dark. And the door opens, and we have a path to clear here. And the warp tile, and we are now entering the Helmosaur King boss fight right behind these turtles. Little hammer dash for finish. And it's time for the fight, as the hammer is used to gingerly remove the Helmosaur King's mask. A fireball emerges from its mouth, has to dodge the diagonal shooting fire, goes right back to work on the mask with that hammer. The tail is wagging behind, it's starting to go fast. Misses the shot on Furaime, and Now is trying to time a spin at the Helmashar King's skull, which is slow going at best with a Master Sword, but he's trying to get those hits in. He finally gets enough hits in. And that's the fight.
You can use the hammer on that second Helmosaur phase, but it's definitely difficult with the hitbox and how far away the actual vulnerable spot is. But Furaime getting through without too much trouble with the Master Sword strats.
Should be noted as well that if you were to have the silver arrows, you could also just fire one single arrow at the jewel on the King's skull to be able to take it out instantly, but he did not have the silver arrows, so naturally they were not in any convenient location so far to be able to pick them up.
Furaime is going to take this bottle that he found in Myershed back to Sick Kid. See what he has for us today. Big pointy sword, that's probably not very safe in the kid's hands. We'll just let Link handle that one, I think.
Yeah, what was he doing with a sword? Isn't that dangerous for someone his age?
Hey, where are these parents?
I want to know, yeah, was he in the knife drawer?
Straight up towards Skull Woods. It's definitely an interesting play since without the fire rod we can't finish this right now. So there must be an item in here worth double dipping for.
It would have to be a really good item for that. That was not the item. This could be the item. Nope, that's a big key. I think we're going to see a bomb jump. What do you think?
Yeah, it looks that way. A little bit easier with the boots. Oh! Choosing not to use the boot strats, but there got the spin off at just the right time. Ooh, and finds the hook shot in the big chest. That's definitely an item worth coming straight here for, because that will open up a lot of options up on Death Mountain, and also speed up movement in a lot of dungeon rooms.
It should be noted as well that they had to go get the Power Glove in Paradox Cave to start with. They couldn't have gotten the one in Hype Cave without going through Aghanim or something like that, so they had to come to Paradox Cave on regular Death Mountain before they could even get the hook shot to further explore Death Mountain in either Light or Dark World. So that was a necessary double trip up Death Mountain today.
Wulfy finishing off Helmosaur as Furaime is making the decision to dip into the dam area, grabbing a heart container out of that first chest, and I assume is going to be heading into Swamp since he came here from the Dark World.
That's what I assume too, and he may or may not like what's in the dam, but because of the portal location, I assume not. Nope, piece of heart, not going to pick that up. And Wulfy gets his sword out of the Sick Kid.
And we're seeing a lot of overlap in the routing here. Feels like the seed is really pointing the runners in a certain direction, and they're just following the signs. But Furaime has a bit of an advantage just off of his execution, and maybe some small advantages from divergence in the routing.
So now we're going to open the, or let the water in from the first of the locations here. This is where the hammer is required in order to continue Swamp. If you don't have the hammer, you can't release that flood. So you have to be able to come in with the hammer, or you're stuck at that point. So that's the one and only reason the hammer is considered as required for Swamp Power.
Wulfy took a slightly different route through Skull Woods. He just dropped down on the left side and then is picking up the key from the pinball room. I'm not sure which of these is going to be faster. It feels like Furaime's route was maybe a little bit faster, being able to take advantage of that mirror, but Wulfy is getting this bomb jump on the first try, so that'll definitely save a couple of seconds. And Furaime is making a beeline toward the back of Swamp.
Time will tell which route is faster, but Wulfy, he does of course leave Swamp Palace. He did grab his hook shot, so he is going to head now to Swamp himself. Once again, both runners will be in the same dungeon, with the exception of Wulfy's divergence into Desert Palace, to the back of Desert Palace to fight Landmolas. They've otherwise been on very consistent routes. As Furaime picks up his cape, that might be needed for something, or it may just be a defensive aid.
If that's all he's picking up from Swamp, that seems like that's definitely for either Bumper Ledge or Spike Cave, are two checks that cape will open up for you. So we'll see if he heads to either of those quickly.
I would say Bumper Ledge would be an out-of-the-way check, so if he goes back to Skull Woods with the Fire Rod, that might be when he would probably do that, I would guess. Other than that, Spike Cave is a Death Mountain, so I don't think see either of those happening very quickly necessarily, just whenever they're convenient, if they are turned out to be something that he does want.
In the very quick one-cycle Argus fight, that was pretty perfect in the first phase, and just had a little bit trouble transitioning when Argus moved down to collide, but still a very fast fight from Furaime.
And all for 20 rupees, so not much reward out of that, but it is a crystal we did need, so had to be done anyway.
That's definitely interesting. It looks like he came to Swamp Palace just for that cape, so it must be important in the routing that's going to follow.
I imagine it is. We're going to find out as we go here. As he gets dropped off at the Kakariko statue, which is no longer a statue.
Yeah, heading right into the Dark World up here in Village of Outcasts probably means we're going to see Bumper Ledge right now.
Very possibly. Let's see what that cape was potentially required for today. We're being given a prediction in chat. Fire Rod on Bumper Ledge. Get your guesses in quickly if you want to guess. We'll see what's there in just a moment. As we enter the screen, we go to the right a little bit, and it is the Ice Rod on Bumper Cave today. So the fact that he wants that's one of the two rods needed for Trinex. He is going to have access to that for the Trinex fight, and just needs the Fire Rod to be able to do that part of it now. Still needs Case Murray to go to Turtle Rock, though, so that's still a little ways away. And also a medallion.
Yeah, but that's something definitely very interesting, that he's grabbing the Ice Rod right now. You would pretty much only do that if you were sort of on your way to Turtle Rock, right? Especially if you would rather find the Fire Rod first and come back and finish Skull Woods and find the Ice Rod at about the same time. So we'll see where all of those necessary ingredients to get into Turtle Rock are, as Furaime does head right back up to Death Mountain.
Almost gets Dead Rock, but gets through, thankfully. And as you said, there's still a lot of ingredients to get into Turtle Rock, and he's up here on Death Mountain, so maybe Paradox Cave. And I haven't obviously memorized every item here myself, but maybe Paradox Cave theoretically could have either the Fire Rod or the Bombos. The other one could be in Hookshot Cave. Two could be in Hookshot Cave. One could be in. I'm just trying to think what other caves are up here. Those are the main ones that come to mind, though.
We've got 7 checks between Hookshot Cave, Floating Island, and Super Bunny. So Death Mountain certainly has been stacked today with all of our Dark World access being up here. So we'll see what else it has for us.
So here we are in Super Bunny Cave, one of those aforementioned caves. There's a heart container. And a heart container.
He's been very generous. We found blue mail and 6 heart containers just sort of along the route. Our runners really haven't had to go out of their way for any of those. So some very nice safeties that the Seed's just sort of handing to them along with everything else they have to do.
There's Arcana Samaria. And as we get to skipping chest number 2, opens the Bombos. There's your Turtle Rock cocktail, ladies and gentlemen, as we're now going to turn around and most likely go straight into Turtle Rock. This must be something needed here for somewhere later on.
This seems to happen so often in Randomizer. The key to Turtle Rock just left directly under the doormat, with both the cane and Bombo's tablet being right outside.
Yeah, it happens so often that it's just so easy to make the prediction for that, and when it does, of course, people act like you call it or something, which just happens so often. Wulfy on his way to the Ice Rod right now, and again, following the exact same general path as Furaime has been running through this. Again, the only difference being that he's done Desert Palace.
Furaime has gone out of his way to get the Ice Rod before making this trip up to Turtle Rock, so that sort of makes you think we're going to find the Fire Rod in here somewhere. Or else, why would he have stopped for that Ice Rod first, unless you're planning on finishing Turtle Rock right now?
And we know it won't be on the Fire Rod locked side. We know that for sure. Thank you, Salphos, for a bone to the face. So we have Chompy here. Hi, Chompy. Nice to see ya. Has to be a key here.
Set up to let us avoid the Fire Rod for a bit here. Also very interesting.
It's being known that something that locks Fire Rod could be here as well. So if not the Fire Rod itself, which would let us complete the dungeon, we could find something like the mushroom, we could find the powder, we could find, for all we know, we could find a book to get to the tablets. So any of those are possibilities, any kind of a fetch quest, or the shovel, I should say, as well. Any of those kinds of fetch quests could be locking the Fire Rod.
Yeah. Fire Rod on Ether Tablet would definitely explain why Furaime wanted to have the Ice Rod before he came up, because then you could finish it in this trip, even if you have to double dip Turtle Rock.
And that's why the thought of Fire Rod being here kind of makes sense at this point, because he prioritized that single individual trip to the Ice Rod without going back to Skull Woods. So it leads me to think that maybe it is in here directly, but at the same time, if it's a fetch quest, that explains the early dip in here as well.
Yeah, especially since Wulfy did the same thing, did grab that Ice Rod on the way up here, and grabbed those keys from under the mat, and is heading over toward Turtle Rock right now.
Oh, we're going to get a Mimic Cave check, so it could be Mimic Cave that it's in.
Yeah, Mimic Cave, or just coming around to the big chest, since this is really the only way to get to the big chest. Oh, nope, Mimic Cave, Mimic it is.
And he heads inside. So yeah, looks like Mimic Cave could be at least something. If not the Fire Rod, at least something, because he wants to spend the time to do this. But I'd say 9 out of 10 chances of Fire Rod at this point. And nope. There's your Quake Medallion.
So there is our Misery Mire access. So that's quite the chain that you had to get Kane come up to Turtle Rock to get your access into Misery Mire.
So either the Fire Rod is in Misery Mire, or he's going to keep going and find something that's locking the Fire Rod off Laser Bridge. These are possibilities. What a weird sequence we have to go through with this seed so far.
Yeah, finding just in time in Turtle Rock here to be able to get through it without the Fire Rod.
Yeah, there's the Fire Rod right there.
So now we'll definitely see Turtle Rock finished off. Furaime not mirroring back, so it looks like this last key we need will be on Laser Bridge, from the looks of things. So I guess we're going to skip the right side of the front of Turtle Rock today, from the looks of things.
Must have been maybe a piece of heart or a big 20 or something like that over there, I'm guessing. Because we haven't seen a lot of items yet either. So what are we going to find on Laser Bridge right now? There's a key, and we're done here. Very nice dash by Furaime there. And gonna head down to basement 3. There's only a couple rooms here. This big, wide open room, and then the boss room, which is on the other side of this chamber.
Are pretty well stocked at this point, having Tempered Sword. These boss fights that we have left shouldn't be too much trouble. Even the Ganon fight, Tempered Sword Soberless, is something that runners of this caliber will not have trouble with, especially with half magic, that the torch glitch is not as important, just a time save, not completely essential.
Trinex takes a couple bites out of Furaime, but still 4 hearts, still fairly healthy. Just has to get a nice board spin here, a couple more hits, and that should do it. And after all that, Trinex's gift for us is $50. Wulfy now off to his own Mimic Cave prize hunt.
We should say, though, that sort of snuck up on us, finding Quake and that Fire Rod, I believe puts us in go mode, because now we can get into Misery Mire and Skull Woods, finish off Desert Palace, and then we can head into Ganon's Tower after that.
Yep, if it weren't for the fact that the spoiler log race, yes, this is what you would call go mode at this point. So, yes, they have everything they need. They should be able to just, well, at least once Wulfy gets them, of course, because he has to still get his Fire Rod. Just got his Quake Medallion. So once he gets his Fire Rod, he'll be in the same status. So as you see, there wasn't a lot of divergence in the paths today. Reason for that being that it was such a linear path. There weren't a lot of ways that you could actually route that without possibly doing things in a much, much slower way. It was that linear today, that with the exception of the Desert Palace visit finished early by Wulfy, there wasn't a lot to diverge on today.
And I really funneled into Death Mountain to get the Dark World access, and then funneled toward the hook shot to get the cape, to get the, Bombos on, Ice Rod on Bumper Ledge, and then up to Turtle Rock to get the last couple of items that you needed.
Wulfy gets his key, he backs out of Laser Bridge and heads over to the Trinex fight. In terms of safeties, he's on 8 hearts, whereas Wulfy is sitting on 9. Or I mean, Furaime is sitting on 9 right now, sorry. So 1 extra heart for Furaime is slightly safer, but 8 is usually plenty for runners of this caliber anyway. Wulfy on his way across the bridge of Much Fear to the Turtle of Much Try. And Furaime gets his Misery Mire big key. So this is where you basically God mode your way to the back and finish it off.
Yeah, not a bad layout for Mire there. Just hit the switch on the left, and then the big key is in that chest on the right-hand side, so fairly quick.
And Wulfy clears dungeon number 5 for him. So he still has Misery Mire and Skull Woods, which Misery Mire Furaime is in right now. Furaime, again, also still has Desert Palace to click.
Yeah, so we'll see here in a minute just how close our runners are, because I suspect Wulfy will head to Misery Mire next, but Furaime will have to, as you said, do Desert coming out of Misery Mire. So after they've both finished those dungeons, then we will see exactly where they stand. Furaime getting the spooky action glitch to hit that switch from the room below.
That could be a plus right there for him if Wulfy doesn't do that.
Okay, he's opting to finish off Skull Woods first before Misery Mire, so it'll take us another minute before we can really compare these runners directly. Furaime trying to get some spin strats in, and is going to turn that cape on to conserve some health.
Very nice clear on the eyeballs by Furaime on the Vitreous here, as we pump the eye full of Visine, and otherwise known as arrows, and take it out.
Chat, I would not recommend going to Cyclone for optometry advice. Visine and arrows seem very different to me.
Let's just say that my knowledge of optometry means I still actually have to wear glasses. So there you go. And no, they were not pumped full of arrows.
Here, that'll probably make it harder to see this race.
So here's our divergence coming full circle here, as Wulfy is now... Actually, no, Wulfy went to Skull Woods first.
Yeah, too much of a difference which order you're doing things in at this point. You're just going to flute back and forth between the two locations, so pretty much a toss-up to do Skull Woods or the Mire Desert area first, unless there's an item, you know, an extra heart or something on Mothula that might help you out in the safety vein.
Let's find out right now as we clear Mothula and we get a map. That's not a heart.
Another divergence we should point out is that Wulfy did go ahead and get red mail. The second mail upgrade was in Hype Cave, which Furaime opted to not pick up while he was there, but Wulfy did. Again, a couple of seconds difference, but a fair bit of extra safety on Wulfy's side.
So we need to note that Skull Woods is done for Wulfy, and no, we're not going to get pedestal check. Don't count on that, ladies and gentlemen. It is not important today.
I feel like Furaime is still a little bit ahead here. I think just running to the back of Skull Woods is going to be a little bit faster than Mire. Certainly, we'll see how Wulfy's execution is on this dungeon, though.
Well, this is where now we're at the point where the diversions will come full circle. How quickly Wulfy can do this, Misery Mire will have against Furaime doing Skull Woods right now. Everything will come full circle here. Didn't he do Ice Palace? Ice Palace isn't done yet either. Interesting.
Yeah, so both of our runners will come together at Ice Palace that we've got left. I guess I skipped that one when I was thinking about how many dungeons we had left to do, but...
I was too. I'm just as guilty.
Sync there and be able to see our runners head-to-head, since they've been a little bit apart for most of the race.
I see what the confusion was. Ice Palace is a green pen, and I think it was accidentally marked as a crystal on one side. Or we saw it as a crystal, so Ice Palace is not required. Our mistake.
Ah, okay. Yeah, the star on the Furaime side kind of looks like a crystal to me. That's weird.
Yeah, it threw me off too for a second. I remember seeing Ice Palace as a pendant, so I was wondering why it was suddenly a crystal. Okay. Oh, Furaime takes a fall on Skull Woods. That's going to cost him a small amount of time.
See how closely matched these runners are. I feel like even their routing through all the dungeons has been almost exactly the same, except in Palace of Darkness, but just a great execution race between these two so far.
Furaime going through the torchline puzzle. The Wallmaster took one of the torch attempts, so yeah, fire another extra shot at that, use a little more magic. Now going to drop into the Mothula fight, and Wulfy is on his way through the big key door in Misery Mire right now. This will put Furaime just a little bit ahead, going up to Death Mountain, so it will become an execution battle going through Ganon's Tower. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be an exciting finish coming up here from what I can see here. Furaime gets crystal number 7. Wulfy is trying... Did he go for Spooky? Is he going to go for Spooky? Speaking of, by the way, start guessing, ladies and gentlemen, in chat, not by numbers, which I would normally guess 11 if I could, but by location, where you think that big key in Ganon's Tower will be today. Of course, I always say it's Random Room, and I think it was earlier today in Random Room, right in the top right chest where I have been saying it would be. So we're going to go with that again.
The spooky glitch as well. All three of those switch hits happening much faster with the fire rod there. My guess is going to be double firebar room on the left-hand side. That's my usual guess.
So Wulfy going through the eyeball ousting fight. Getting the last of the eyes out and doing his own optometry on the big eye, and there it goes.
One thing that could definitely make a difference in a race this close, though, Wulfy did take a couple of extra fire rod shots to get that spooky glitch to work. Was a little bit low on magic in the Vitreous fight, and so went ahead and chugged the blue potion just to be safe, but that is now a safety he will not have for the Ganon fight.
We're having a note that the fade out was at 44 minutes and 20 seconds on Furaime's last crystal. I didn't catch the exact... Oh, there it is. 45:35 was the fade out on Wulfy's, so that's about 75 seconds difference right there.
Yeah, that's definitely a chunk of time that Furaime has built up with his execution through the first part of this race. But as we all know, there's a lot of execution ahead in Ganon's Tower. The fight, you know, that's definitely within a single Ganon fall that could, or death, that could make up the difference.
Definitely. All it takes is having to start the Ganon fight with low health, taking a Ganon hug at the wrong time, and that can cost you some time. And by the way, if you want the Ether Medallion to complete your coin collection, go get it right there on the torch.
So we're headed straight to the left-hand side of Ganon's Tower, skipping the Dark Magician's room from the look of things. Oh, Furaime heading into my double firebar room.
Oh! Tell me the truth, did you look at that in the log?
I got it in the log, but I had no idea that's the vanilla. Like, I don't know where the map chest is. I'm just gonna take my guess, as usual.
So, very, very quick Ganon's Tower basements, as Furaime now starts heading upstairs. He's going to go through this spike room right now on floor 3. Goes right through the Mimic, which doesn't die to a sword. That one needs an arrow. And now he's going to go through a couple more fire-shooting Mimics here. First room down. Second room done very, very quickly. Wulfy is going to the right side, interestingly enough. He's picking up a key from over there.
Yeah, Furaime went one extra room deep into past the double firebar room to pick up his extra key, but Wulfy opting to dip into Hope Room for just a second there. Again, I think Furaime is a few seconds faster with that, without that extra mirror transition.
We will see what turns out to be the time gaining or time losing option here, as we did have a 75-second difference to start with. Furaime is now going through some of the hardest rooms in the game. I mean, you got BMOS on conveyor belts, taking pot shots at you while you're trying to fight enemies. And then you have double BMOS on conveyor belts, wait to fire on you as you take pot shots while fighting enemies. Zyzak's got some more from Thieves Town, which we didn't really see any of today. Now we got ice to deal with, and Furaime, I say these are hard rooms. You know, we need to talk about making commentators look good, you know? Fine, whatever.
Yeah, that one looked easy. That last gauntlet room, he actually got trolled a little bit by that room in the first race between these two, so he got his vengeance today on that one. That was about as fast as you can do it.
And Wulfy is going to soon be in his gauntlet, but first he has to solve the lower floor puzzle of finding the button under a skull, which he does. And Furaime clearing one of the Wizard rooms gets the full magic refill out of one of the Wizard room he walks by. That's very
Yeah, Magic not too much of a concern with the half magic, but he can definitely just fling fire rod shots everywhere and not have to worry about it.
Yeah, that's the free fire rod shots for all the torches now if he wants to. And there it is, going through. Gonna probably head upstairs. Doesn't need the magic refill at this point, I don't think. There we go. And that's about what he needs for magic for pretty much the rest of the seed, I think. So he is apparently going to go to... He's going to the chest. No, he's not going to the chest. He's looking for the key from the enemy. There he goes. And as we're on beat mode, he gets an extra heart to get off of beat mode, finds a heart container. Not sank heart, so no heart refill. Full magic refill.
And our runners getting a chance to pick up powder today, so no chance to really refill your health, but that one extra heart, you'll take everything you can get.
Oh, Moldar is being a pain for Furaime right now, but finally gets the second shot in. Wulfy is trying to get up there as quickly as he can. On 4 or 5, he's 1 4 behind right now, but it might be too little too late here. We're going to find out as we go. Furaime still has to go through Triangle Wars, coming right up.
He also gets a nice full magic drop.
As he crosses the Mothly Welcome Mat into Aghanim 2's or Agonometry layer, we have a triple. And that was a blue ball, so it wouldn't have been a triple anyway, but only got 1 shot. Oh, that was as well as you could do that fight by Furaime. Very nicely done.
Yeah, you never complain about a 3 cycle, especially when there was a blue ball in the middle of that one, so very nicely done from Furaime. He might feel like his GT execution cost him a little bit in the first race, and he is not letting that get in his way this time around.
Oh, he certainly is trying not to. As he drops through the cuckoo hole into the Ganon chamber, Ganon says, "Did you know nutrition experts recommend that at least half of our daily grains come from whole grain products?" Thank you. Now we're being asked in chat for the location of the silver arrow since neither runner has obviously picked it up today. I'm going to double check that and confirm that because we did notice that earlier. We knew it was an out of the way location. And what I can tell you... Sorry? I was just going to say the silvers are on the Bombos tablet for those who were playing that game today. So if you guessed they were all the way on the Bombos tablet, congratulations, you get nothing.
Furaime absolutely put on a clinic climbing the gauntlet in Ganon's tower, and his Ganon fight is pretty much looking the same, just speeding through those first couple of phases with the dash strats in phase 2, and has now moved on to the last phase, getting that torch glitch. It's just a few spins between him and victory here in Game 2.
Yep, it's time to do spins with Ganon. That is spins with Ganon. You have to dodge the fire blast to be able to get those hits in. You can't just hit him early. Turns to silver and doesn't act like it hurt him. There it is. Furaime gets the final hit on Ganon as Wulfy starts his phase 1 and now phase 2 fight. So as we watch Wulfy get nice prime positioning to attack the pig in this phase, Furaime has to deal with a 1x3 bridge fraught with danger and never mind. So we're going to see what the Triforce text is right now, and then we're going to go ahead and give you the time for Furaime. Wulfy takes a death, by the way, as Furaime is told, "Success!" And at this point, I can confirm Furaime's first place time is 1 hour, 8 minutes, and 59 seconds. That includes the 15-minute study time, which means a 53:59 was his time. Get your GGs in chat.
Absolutely great race from both of these runners. This is a good time to suggest that you follow both of these runners. They're putting on a great show for us. And of course, follow Speed Gaming and all of the Speed Gaming channels. We thank you for your support and coming out and watching these races with us. We certainly appreciate that. And if you want to see more of that, please give us a follow as well. And for that matter, if you want to see more of these two racers in particular, we now have a doubleheader with Furaime taking Game 2. The final deciding Game 3 will happen in about half an hour, is
Or
what's
less.
on the schedule.
Or less. It's going to be based on when this race finishes. So it's going to be coming up next. We're going to be making sure the broadcast stays on. It's going to be coming up next. So stay tuned for that right here on this channel. In about, I'd say about 15-20 minutes at this point. We're going to let Furaime and Wulfy have a small break, and then we'll get the next study period underway for the next race.
Yeah, so that means we will not have an interview with our runners, since they will be getting prepped and getting centered to jump right back into things.
And actually, we might even have Wulfy, he might, I think we usually like to let the credits finish for the runners' sake as well, or the viewers' sake as well, so it may be, they may wait to do the side period until they're both able to load the seat, so it could be somewhere 25 minutes. We'll see what happens with that. So Wulfy is going through his serverless scanner right now. And he does finish his Ganon fight. So it looks like it'll be about 56, I want to say 56.20, 56.25 will be his time. He is going to cross the line right now. And there it is, 56.23 was his time. So get your GGs in chat for him.
I can reveal also that the Book of Mudora, which we would have needed to find those silver arrows, was in Pendant Thieves Town, so there was no way our runners were going out of the way to find the silver arrows today.
Absolutely not. If they had to go with these towns for something else and then we're going to desert anyway, they might have taken that kind of a route, but there was no convenient way to do it today, so absolutely zero chance getting those arrows today. We're going to try and get that audio changed over there because I think we still have Wulfy's audio active. But they are going to be getting ready to go for their second race momentarily. So, actually, let me see. I see Synak in the step room right now. Let me see if he wants to join us for a second. Just talk about that last seed. One moment, I'll see if he wants to join us here.
Hey, Cyclone.
Oh, there he is. He heard me in the channel. Hi, Sydak. How you doing?
Oh, great.
So, what'd you think of that last seed?
That was on a razor's edge. I'm really looking forward to Game 3.
Yeah, they've both been really close races. And for those wondering, Synak is one of our commentators in the next race, which is why we have him joining us right now. Cool Papa Bell and I are going to be stepping aside for that race, so Synak will be one of your commentators. So, do you think there was really a turning point in that scene, or was it just based on execution, Synak?
I don't. So I will freely admit I didn't watch the whole thing. So color that with this. I thought it seemed like it was mostly execution. It felt like.
It seemed like that to me too. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, where was the other armor upgrade?
Let me just.
Wulfy got red.
I'm gonna confirm that. I didn't even notice that. I think
Hype
Wulfy...
Cave upgrade.
Oh, he grabbed it from Hype Cave. Okay. Furaime didn't pick that up.
Alright, and is that the only thing then in a Hype Cave? So he went and probably did a Hype Cave early to get that armor.
Hype Cave had the armor and a glove. One of the two gloves. That was actually our second glove today for the Titans met.
I mean, like, I don't think that accounts for, like, 2-minute difference, but...
No.
I mean, it was still a ridiculously close match.
Yeah.
And, like, so Wulfy was our 16... Sorry, go ahead.
little round.
So I think you're cutting out, cool, Papa.
Yeah, sorry. It must not. They most throughout.
Okay, I'm not sure, unfortunately, what he said, because he seems to be cutting out here, but yeah, the Hype Cave, other than the progressive glove and the progressive armor that was mentioned, it just had bombs and 100 rupees in the other three chests. So Furaime just went straight for the glove, didn't grab the armor, just save and quit right out. So he did it without that second armor.
Alright. I mean, they're both like ridiculously close to so Wulfy was seeded 16th in the qualifier and got put 16th in the bracket, and Furaime was 17. So like this is a matchup that is just on the razor's edge, and small things like that can make a difference at this point.
So yeah, we are going to go ahead and let Wulfy's credits play out here. We actually don't want to cut the broadcast off because it will cut if we change it too quickly here. But we are going to go ahead and get the second race set up. And let me just check who your... Do you remember offhand who your co-commentator is, Sinek?
Oh, yes, I do. It is Mentos Man 8.
Ah, yes, I saw that. I just forgot. So Mentos Man 8 will be joining Sinek here as well for the call of the next race. It seems we have unfortunately lost Cool Papa Pavel due to some, it must be some internet connectivity or something. I'm not sure what happened there, but he was just cutting off a little bit. So I want to thank him for joining us for commentary as well. And commentating this race with me was a great race to call. And looking forward to seeing further races like this as this tournament goes on. With that said, if anyone is looking for me later, I'll be over on the Prime Speed Gaming at 10 o'clock after this series is finished for some Zelda 1 Randomizer later. Another race coming on here at 10 o'clock in the same tournament for Zelda 1 Randomizer on this channel as well, following this series. So a couple of those and the other Zelda games going on tonight as well. So I want to say good night to all of you. I'm going to leave everything with Sinek at this point and say may not all your seeds be pet seeds. Have a great night, and I'll let you take over from here, Sinek.
All right, thank you, Cyclone. So I'm going to go ahead and take a small break here. Mentos Man and I are probably going to get the seeds soon. We're going to talk it over and discuss it. So go ahead and just enjoy the background music while we wait. It'll be about 15 to 20 minutes before the next match starts. So go ahead, get up, stretch, grab yourself a cold one, whatever that may be. And then come on back because we got ourselves another hot match. Our game 3 in just a moment.